It is the fact that they lost, but it's also the way that they lost. Like it is a double whammy of sorts. And I think that the offense first and foremost, because the defense, even though I don't think the defense was anywhere near perfect, I'm looking right now at Good Morning Football, and they've got Will Anderson Jr. managing to get a strip sack, fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right? We saw a 4 turnover game.
4 turnovers.
You won the turnover battle.
2 interceptions, 2 fumbles?
You won the turnover battle by 3.
Yeah.
And I think teams are now 9-1 when they win the turnover battle.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Who was the one loss?
Who do you think?
The Houston Texans, Monday Night Football, October 20th, 2025. Like that's how poorly your offense was able to show up. That's how non-existent the complementary football was for the Houston Texans offense. And look, there's obviously blame that goes in a lot of different places. But the man at the helm of this, Nick Caley, I think that one of the takeaways I have.
He is of his depth. And I promise I'm not going to go back to where this real problem
Don't
is.
believe you. Don't believe you.
As in Nick Caserio.
So
that'll be the end of that discussion. Let's talk about the job that Kayley is doing.
I want to do that. I want to press pause and have a little sidebar with my friend here.
What's up?
Figgy Fig. You got the over or under on John Lopez's next.
Over.
You got the over. I got the under.
Over.
I'm trying to see. Oh, you meant total number. I was going to say the next time that he throws it out, but he knows that's fair. How many more times does he mention John Carroll through the rest of this program?
He already mentioned it like 27 times already.
I want to set the over under at, and I think this is a good line, 6.5.
Yeah, I was going to say
going over.
I'm gonna take I'm gonna say 5.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take the under.
I'll take the over.
I think right now he probably listening to us right now, so he gonna try to scale it back a little bit.
He's not. He can't.
I'm
listen.
gonna
This
be
is
me.
a sidebar. This is a sidebar.
Okay.
You can't hear this.
I'm gonna be me. I gotta be me.
All right, sidebar over. Lopez, you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nick Caley looked woefully out of his depths. And there was a few things for me that absolutely solidified that. One of them was just, this was a deeply predictable game plan. You had 15 days is going to be a refrain, I think, over the entirety of this week. But as long as we're reflecting on this game, 15 days, that is the separation between the game that you had in Baltimore versus the Ravens and this woeful performance that you had in Seattle, at least offensively. And what I saw were things that just were so obvious. As foremost, did you know that you had big boys in the middle of the defensive line? Because it felt like you didn't. Early on in the game, they were running directly at him. Eventually, they started trying to get to the outsides, to which that wasn't very beneficial. And when they did, when they were trying to run a little bit more to the edges, I knew on this weird rotation that they had at left guard that when big 75, Laken Tomlinson was in, they were going to try and run on his backside. And that blew up a whole possession for them when they were moving the ball decently well, staying on schedule. They get to 3rd and short, run for nothing. They run 4th and short, and they run for nothing, right? Like, it was so abundantly obvious what was happening that I was like, this is your moment. This is the time for you as an offensive coordinator to be able to come out and make an impact, because this is when you need it. This is when you need the advanced schematic prowess of a coordinator to help elevate what your team is doing. And what you gave me was like a stretch left behind an offensive side of the offensive line that had been getting beat. I was so deeply disgusted.
If I'm just talking about Nick Caley as an offensive coordinator, and I really feel for the guy because I think he's getting pushed around and influenced by Nick Caserio. To me, you could disagree. I feel for him because I think Nick Caserio has made all the decisions and given him the groceries, which isn't what a general manager is supposed to do. But at the same time, has ill-equipped him. And so maybe that's one more reference at him, because I do feel sorry that he doesn't have the pelts on the wall or the experience to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I have confidence in. I think that's his biggest problem. He is, frankly, inexperienced and out of his depth. And that's the last thing that you want for a contending team. I mentioned this to you during the break. The Seahawks could have easily put up 45 points or more on this team.
Correct.
Easily. The defense bailed your ass out.
There was a lot of good fortune, as much as that sounds insane.
A couple weird penalties and calls that wasn't.
A safety.
That safety, yeah.
A touchdown that they scored but didn't score because they fumbled into the end zone. There was another, pass interference that would have been a big play for the Seahawks. Your defense scored a touchdown, your only touchdown. So when you get an opportunity like that, any offensive coordinator worth their salt has to figure out a way to get it done. So my first thing about Nick Caley as an offensive play caller is
don't forget the Woody Marks touchdown that happened later.
And the Woody Marks touchdown, yes. But he's out of his depth. I don't want to say he doesn't know what he's doing. I think he knows a lot of football. He doesn't know how to be an offensive coordinator. That's the first thing.
Not yet, at least. Not in these, because you talked about the fumble that was recovered and then fumbled again by the Seahawks that ultimately provided a touchback, an incredibly lucky play. You want to know one of the things that happened there? Something that we actually talked about a good amount was you need to break the huddle in time. That one, the huddle was broken at 10, so they snapped. There was a delayed blitz, and that's when CJ is like ball, and then the ball comes loose. So that wasn't helped at all by, again, the coordinator. Like, he's putting CJ in an adverse situation. And to be fair, CJ didn't cover himself in glory because both of those plays that you're talking about, CJ running backwards to get himself into a place where it's almost a sack, and then CJ trying to throw a football while he's wrapped up in a circumstance where either make that decision earlier to throw the football away or protect the football. Like, you got to do one or the other.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think is his biggest problem is in-game adjustments are, frankly, I didn't see any. The biggest indicator was 3rd down and 1, 4th down and inches, 3rd down and goal, 4th down and goal, and he honestly believed, my guys will push those guys into the end zone. They got stood up from the first whistle to the last whistle. They got flat out outmanned on the offensive line, and an offensive coordinator needs to be able to see that in real time, make the adjustments, and obviously counter what they're doing. They had 56 rushing yards. 56 rushing yards. And you're trying to hammer it up the middle on these so-called gotta-have-it plays? I feel sorry for the guy, and I know that's kind of an insult in itself, and I don't mean it that way. He's out of his depth and should never have gotten this job.
No, I mean, that was the thing that I was watching this game. We were giving him, at least I was trying to give him more benefit of the doubt. And, it's probably fair to look at this and say, this is still pretty early in the process with the system that he's trying to bring in, but all of that could have been foreseen. We were looking at those, at least I looked at those 2 games, Tennessee, Baltimore, and was like, all right, this is a foundation, what can you do to build on it? And they rolled back some of the things that they did in those games. You got Dare Ogunbowale here in 3rd downs again. You're switching up your offensive line. You talk about musical chairs. That's real musical chairs that they're doing there, drive by drive. And then, frankly, it just the thing that told me flat out that he's not capable of this. When you get to a place where I sincerely believe this, and maybe someone will ultimately come out and tell me no, right from that building, no, Reggie, there was other circumstances. I looked at that. What was that in the 3rd or 4th quarter?
Late 3rd quarter. I know what you're talking about.
Where they start just chucking the ball down the field on seemingly go route after go route, and it felt like when you're playing Madden and you have nothing else, you're just like, I'm going going 4 verts. It felt like they ran out of plays in this game, which is an unfathomable. There we go. Thing for an offensive coordinator to have happen.
He ran out of ideas, and then let's combine that with an offensive coordinator that kind of got onto something in the Ravens game, and we all know now that there was a lot of reasons for that. And then you have 15 days to prepare, and not only do you not make any of these changes that you're talking about, you go backwards. You go back to Dare Ogunbowale, and you go back to rotating guards. And then beyond that, and I know he got a concussion, but Nico Collins, how many times did I say this has to be a Nico Collins game? This has to be a Nico Collins game. 4 catches, 27 yards.
And Nico Collins had his because he had a drop that was very. But it got getting Nico Collins the ball was back shoulder fades.
Yeah,
like they couldn't even find and engineer different ways to get him the football. Which again, like the things that you knew that you could go to, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, it became one note even getting them the football because what was the Dalton Schultz way to get him the football?
Right. Well, there were several different ways, but right down the middle, and
they weren't even really
the
able
fake to the running back, and then in the flat. But they ran that like 6 times.
That little switch release that happened. Yeah, like it was just these are the only things that we can go to.
Yeah,
like he felt like a college student that's like, hey man, I got ramen in the fridge. Like this is my one go-to that I can use to make. There's a poverty in this offense right now, and a good amount of that is because the coordinator's out of his depth. It's not all of it, and that's the thing that's most frustrating. I would love to be able to say that you switch the coordinator and all this is fixed. Is that something that even feels like that's on the board for you? That's a capable maybe answer to try. Because again, at this point, once you make the decision or once you feel confident, as I feel like I am, that he's out of his depth, what do you do besides take that responsibility away from him?
You change play callers at least. Try to at least stir the pot, wake up the bats. The plays are not going to be any different, because it's too late in the game. You don't have a training camp and all. You can't change the offense, but maybe just the common sense stuff that we're talking about. I mean, those short pound the ball up the middle runs were just like even before the ball was snapped. Not just the announcers on TV, but we were saying, "What are we? Don't run the ball up the middle. Don't do it. Don't do it." Oh, there you did it.
It's running up to a brick wall.
Yes,
man.
Yes.
Yeah, and
so let's. Like I said, wake up the bats is what I'm talking about. It's going to be the same offense, so maybe it's not going to be terrifically successful, but get another set of eyes out there. Someone that maybe can get the play calls at least right.
Or at least get them in on time for you to be able to come out and have a better chance at running them correctly. And maybe, I don't know. I feel like they're naturally inclined to just, hey, we're going to support who we have here. I think that there's real reason for them to consider the possibility of changing coordinator. And that's so frustrating because this is something that was always a possibility with bringing in a first-time play caller. I'm not saying that every first-time play caller is going to do poor, but this is probably about as poor as a first-time play caller can go, especially with the expectations that were with this team. Does this at all, and this is a sick question to ask, does this at all change the perspective that you have on Bobby Slowick and his tenure?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Not really. In my gut, I'm just going with what my gut is telling me right now. Not really. But again, you can also give Bobby Slowick a little bit of grace, whatever you want to call it, because the guy from John Carroll that's bringing in the bacon, also did the same thing to him.
The thing that's even more frustrating about I think I've absolutely gotten to a place where I don't think that Nick Caley can do this at the very least right now, but I just don't know if he's going to be the offensive coordinator that you need this year. Again, that is not one of those things that you can find hope in. Like you got to try and find the places where you go, can you salvage this to make some level of good out of a season that is clearly going to be wasted in the larger scheme of you're not contending for no Super Bowl. That's gone and dusted.
Yeah.
I can't find any hope in the offense right now.
Last thing. Why would the offensive coordinator all of a sudden put Braxton Berrios out there?
That this team has just decided to go with. I was about to try and find an answer. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Because you pair the Braxton Berrios with the bringing back Laken Tomlinson with the Dare Ogunbowale on third downs. Like there was it just didn't feel like, and it felt like it came from above the offense coordinator because Braxton Berrios was also returning kicks, a job that Jalen Noel has had.
Yeah,
came from above, huh?
To me, it seemed like they were kind of feeling themselves the last 2 games and said, all right, we could get back to what we really wanted to do from week 1. This would work.
Yeah.
And it didn't.